The hidden parts of yourself hold your greatest power. So, why do you keep running from them? You call it self-control, maturity, being a good person. But Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. That irritation you suppress, that envy you deny, that anger you bury, it doesn't disappear. It waits. It shapes your choices from the shadows. What if the part of you fear most is the part that knows exactly who you could become? Your shadow reveals the traits you reject, but secretly need to become whole. The parts of yourself you dislike most are rarely random. They are often exaggerated reflections of qualities you have buried because they once felt unsafe, unacceptable, or inconvenient. Carl Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And that darkness often contains strength in disguise." Think about the trait you criticize most in others: arrogance, selfishness, aggression. Now look closer. Could it be that beneath your rejection is a disowned capacity? The person who hates arrogance may struggle to assert themselves. The one who condemns selfishness may never honor their own needs. Stoicism teaches the importance of living in accordance with nature, and your nature includes more than your polished identity. When you deny parts of yourself, you fragment your own power. Instead of asking, "Why am I like this?" ask, "What is this trait trying to give me?" A practical exercise is to write down 3 qualities you judge harshly in others, then reflect. Where might these live in you, even subtly? What healthy version of these traits could serve your life? The goal is not to become your shadow, but to integrate it. When you reclaim these rejected traits, you stop living half a life and begin moving with a deeper, more grounded sense of self. Emotional triggers are messages from your shadow pointing to unresolved inner conflicts. When something small provokes a disproportionately large reaction, you are not just reacting to the present moment, you are touching something older, something buried. The Stoics remind us, through Epictetus, that people are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them, and your shadow shapes those views in ways you rarely notice. A sharp comment from a colleague may ignite anger not because of what was said, but because it echoes a deeper wound of feeling dismissed or insignificant. Your shadow holds these unprocessed experiences, waiting for recognition. Instead of suppressing your reactions or acting them out blindly, treat them as signals. Pause and ask yourself, what does this remind me of? When have I felt this before? What belief about myself is being activated right now? This is not about overanalyzing every feeling, but about becoming curious rather than reactive. A useful practice is journaling immediately after a trigger. Describe the event, your reaction, and then trace it back to earlier memories or recurring patterns. Over time, you will notice that your strongest reactions are not random, they are maps. And those maps lead you directly to the parts of yourself that are asking to be understood, integrated, and ultimately transformed. The qualities you envy in others often reflect your own unrealized potential. Envy is uncomfortable, so you might dismiss it or mask it as criticism, but beneath it lies a powerful clue. When you feel a sting watching someone succeed, express themselves freely, or command attention, it is not just about them. It is about a part of you that recognizes what is possible. Jung believed that what you resist not only persists but also points toward growth, and envy is one of the clearest indicators of your dormant capacities. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others. It will keep you from doing anything useful, and yet your thoughts about others can become useful if you read them correctly." Instead of resenting what others have, ask, what specifically am I reacting to? Is it their confidence, their discipline, their creativity? Then ask the harder question, where am I refusing to develop this in myself? A practical exercise is to write down one person you envy and list the exact traits that trigger that feeling. Then, for each trait, identify one small action you can take this week to begin cultivating it. Envy, when understood, becomes direction. It stops being a source of shame and becomes a compass, pointing you toward the version of yourself you have been avoiding but are fully capable of becoming. Your shadow uses self-sabotage as a defense against the fear of change and responsibility. When you procrastinate, quit too early, or undermine your own progress, it is tempting to label yourself as lazy or undisciplined, but that surface explanation misses the deeper truth. Often, your shadow is protecting you from the unknown. Growth demands that you step into unfamiliar roles, and with that comes risk, failure, judgment, even success, and the expectations that follow. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality," and your shadow thrives in that imagined fear. It whispers that staying small is safer, that postponing action preserves comfort. But this comfort is a cage. Instead of fighting self-sabotage with sheer force, get curious about it. Ask yourself, what would change if I actually succeeded? What new responsibilities would I have to carry? What identity would I have to let go of? A powerful exercise is to visualize both outcomes, the failure you fear and the success you avoid, and write down the consequences of each. You may discover that what you fear most is not failure, but transformation. When you bring this into awareness, self-sabotage loses its grip. Because you are no longer unconsciously protecting yourself, you are consciously choosing your path. Integrating your shadow transforms inner conflict into grounded confidence and authentic power. Confidence is often misunderstood as the absence of weakness, but real confidence comes from knowing your full range, your light and your darkness, and not being ruled by either. Jung described this process as individuation, the integration of all parts of the self into a coherent whole. Without this integration, you are constantly at war with yourself, suppressing impulses, hiding flaws, and fearing exposure. With it, you become steady, because nothing within you is entirely foreign or unacceptable. The Stoic idea of amor fati, loving your fate, extends here as well. It is not just about accepting external events, but embracing your internal reality as it is. This does not mean indulging destructive behavior, but understanding it, owning it, and directing it wisely. For example, anger, when integrated, becomes clarity and assertiveness. Fear becomes caution and preparation. A simple but profound practice is shadow dialogue. Write a conversation between you and a part of yourself you dislike. Let it speak honestly. What does it want? What is it protecting? What does it need from you? As strange as it sounds, this exercise reveals that your shadow is not your enemy, it is a neglected ally. When you stop running from it and start listening, you reclaim energy that was once spent on suppression. And that reclaimed energy becomes presence, resilience, and a quiet kind of power that no longer depends on pretending to be perfect.